Alright, what's going on everyone? Matt here for the Matt Film Show. Because I need you to make sure to thumbs up, subscribe if you guys like. Let's get right into today's video. And in today, I'm going to be giving you guys my review on Season 2 of The Last of Us based on the very popular video game made by PlayStation. I reviewed the first season 2 years ago when the first season came out, and I really enjoyed the first season. I really enjoyed that show, and I had so much fun with the show. And I have played The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 video games on the PlayStation, on my PS5, but I would say I haven't completed the whole game of the first one, and I haven't completed the first game, the whole game of the second game. But I do have both of them remastered for the PS5. I have The Last of Us Part 1 and The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. But I really have fun that game. That game is made by Naughty Dog, which is the company who made the original Crash Bandicoot and the Uncharted games. I'm a really big fan of the Uncharted video games. I really enjoyed that first Uncharted movie that came out, I think like 2 years ago. I believe it came out like around, not 2 years ago, maybe like 3 years ago now. And I hope that they make a sequel. I do not know. I haven't heard any information about the Uncharted 2, but that movie starred Tom Holland as Nathan Drake and Mark Wahlberg as Sully. And I really love the Uncharted games, and I really enjoyed that movie. And they have created a PlayStation Studios where PlayStation is developing movies and shows based on the popular video games. You know, they just did Uncharted. They did the first season of The Last of Us, The Last of Us Season 2, right? I think Twisted Metal is Sony, PlayStation, I can't remember. They also did the Ratchet and Clank movie like 8 or 9 years ago. They also did the Gran Turismo movie, which I did review, which I really enjoyed. Not a big fan of the games, not a big fan of racing games, but I really enjoyed that one. And I believe they're making the Horizon Zero Dawn into a movie, so they have a lot of other stuff, shows and movies from PlayStation Productions, the company who is making their company that provides for the games, for the movies and the TV sites of for the games. And The Last of Us Season 2 is streaming only on HBO on Max or HBO Max. And HBO is known to make a very great content, very great shows. And The Last of Us is a very, very popular show. And I really enjoyed the first season of The Last of Us. And I really enjoyed the second season of The Last of Us. And I'm going to tell you guys the premise of this, the cast, and my overall thoughts on the show. Set 5 years after the events of Season 1, follows Joe and Ellie after they have settled in Jackson, Wyoming. The season is based on the 2020 game The Last of Us Part 2 and explores Ellie's descent into vengeance on her strained relationship with Joel from the tragic event. Stars Pedro Pascal as Joel, Bella Ramsey as Ellie, Gabriel Luna as Tommy, Isabella Merced as Diana, Young Maizino as Jesse, and Caitlin Denver as Abby. Abby's part of this one. She was a huge part of the second game. She's part of here. Basically post-apocalyptic world. And it's the thing I like about this video game adaptations, primarily The Last of Us, is it's literally exactly like the video game. You play the video game, if you're played the first game or the second game, primarily this one, since this is based on the second game, and the things that they were able to capture is like literally, you know, the thing I love about The Last of Us, primarily this type of stuff, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie, but there's a couple of the video game adaptations I really enjoy. It kind of feels that you're playing the video game without playing it. You know what I mean? It just, everything that happens at The Last of Us Season 2 happened in the second game. And you start to remembering what's going to happen next when you play the game. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen next. You know what happens in the story because you play the game. And that's how I felt about the first game, where when in the first season, when I played the first game, is there were so many Easter eggs, so many stuff that I knew what was going to happen in the first season. And the same thing goes here. This is not a spoiler. I think I'm going to say it, but I think if you played The Last of Us Part 2, you know what happens. Sad story that happens in The Last of Us Season 2 or The Last of Us Part 2 game. Joel dies. And I believe Joel died. It's been a while since I played a game, but I believe Joel died later on in the game. But Joel dies early on in the show. Like the first two episodes, Joel dies. And it's very about Ellie going on her adventure alone with Diana, which they're together, right? They like each other and they have an affair, Ellie and Diana, and they're in love with each other. And they just go on these adventures on their own without Joel. And it's just, when Joel died, it's very, very sad. I had tears because of how sad it is, because it's very sad in the game. But seeing Joel died here, very, very sad. Seeing him die again in the show. And the stakes that they go to when they go after Joel. You know, the little critics, what were they called? The critics, or I forgot what their name, the infected zombies, you guys know what I'm talking about. They're exactly like how they are in the game. And designed like the game, and they're very, you could feel the intense, just the intense from when Joel and Ellie find them. You know what I mean? The zombies are exactly like the game. And it's just such a fun, entertaining show that I really enjoyed this show from the first season, second season. Very, very, one of the best shows right now on television is The Last of Us right now, both seasons. And they just announced a season 3, which I believe they're going to make it part of the second, because I think I didn't complete the game, but I believe this is part of like the first half of the second game. And I think they're going to go to the second half of the second game on the third season, or I do not know, but they are making a third season. I'm very excited for it. Pedro Pascal, very popular actor right now. He is the person who plays the Mandalorian in the Mandalorian series. He's going to play the Mandalorian in the Mandalorian Grogu movie next year. He was born to play Joel. I love him as Joel, you know what I mean? When I was wondering when they were going to do Joel, who's going to play Joel? You know what I mean? And I was having these fan cast for Joel and Ellie when the first season came out. Originally, The Last of Us was supposed to be a movie. And as much as I would have loved The Last of Us being a movie, you know what I mean? They probably would have made the first movie based on the first game, and The Last of Us 2 or Part 2, whatever they would call the second game based on the second movie. But I think I really enjoy The Last of Us being on a show, series. I would have preferred a movie, but I'm really happy that they went with a serious way, because there's a lot more stories to tell in a series. But 7 episodes. There's 7 episodes, but they're like hour-long episodes, and I think that really, I really like when they're hour-long episodes. I really complain a lot about the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus or the Marvel shows on Disney Plus, right? Primarily they're on Disney Plus. It's because the shows are 6 episodes, 8 episodes, 9 episodes, but they're half an hour, 40 minutes long. And I appreciate that. I really do. But I would have loved more episodes and longer episodes. That's why I really enjoyed. And that's why I really enjoyed The Last of Us, because they're an hour plus long episodes, 8 episodes, but longer plus episodes. And I already talked about that when I reviewed Avatar, The Last Airbender, last year, first season, where they're an hour long episodes as well on Netflix, right? And there was another show that I reviewed, I think it was Fallout, that I believe also had hour long episodes on Amazon Prime. But I believe there's like a couple other ones that I reviewed, longer episodes. And I really enjoyed the longer episodes throughout. And the short, 8 episodes, that's fine with me. But the long episodes. And it's just the sets that they were able to make the game come to life in the show. Just all the locations exactly like the game. The characters, the whole scenes is literally like each frame of the cutscene from the game it's alive. It's real in the game. You know what I mean? And I mean in the show, the cutscenes. Every cutscene, I was like, yo, I remember playing that I remember that cutscene from the game. Now you're watching it in real life action, right? And I really enjoy that because, you know what I mean? There's a lot of Easter eggs from the game or from the company, but you just false all live, real life. You're like in that world of The Last of Us with Joel and Ellie, right? You throw it in there and we experiment and all that. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that Gabriel Luna's Tommy was very, very great. I thought he did a great job as Tommy. And Abby being included in this one as well, she's part of that game. Very, very great there. I did love the relationship between Ellie and Diana. Ellie played by Bella Ramsey, Diana played by Elisabella Merced. I thought that their chemistry, their love and the chemistry worked so well. I really enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed the chemistry between Patrick Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie, as the father and daughter. They worked so well. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like they were related. And I feel like that's what it should always be. You know what I mean? When people are cast where mom or dad or whatever case may be, you should always feel like as a family. And I felt like that's how Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey felt playing Joel and Ellie. They felt like they were together. There's a lot of blood. A lot of heads get chopped down. And you know that because the game is rated M. And you know that because if you play the game, you know how the show is. And they're very like how they stick exactly like the game. You know what I mean? All the weapons, all the locations, exactly like the game. And I really enjoyed that from The Last of Us. There are some times where they make video game adaptations that are not so well based on the game. Like the game is based on the title or whatever, but it says its own story, but it has the name of the game. And usually a lot of movies or shows, like the early, like later days, you know what I mean? We're not like that. But The Last of Us is actually based on the game and follows the game. It's not like it's based on the game, but it's set in its own story, random stuff. It's literally like the game. And I really like how they do that because, you know, when you're a gamer and play that specific game, you start to refresh your memories, you know, even though if you haven't played the game in so long and you watch the series or movie, whatever case may be, in the case of The Last of Us a show, you start to remember playing that thing, but you're watching it live with actors and watching people act and do all that in life. But it's like basically playing the game, watching the game play itself. And I really like how they did that. You get to refresh your memory and all that. And I really love that. And I really enjoyed this show. This is a very fun show, very fun adaptation of a video game. This is like a response, like, you know what? This video game adaptations could work, done right. And they did a great job with The Last of Us, you know? Another prime example that I really enjoyed is a video game adaptation that worked very well was the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I always talked about how I made fun of that movie because I did not know what they could do with Mario, with catchphrases, how you gonna make Mario talking sentences and all that. But I thought that the Super Mario Bros. Movie was a very great video game adaptation. The Last of Us, I thought Uncharted was a very great adaptation from the game. I really enjoyed those three. There was a Mortal Kombat. I thought Mortal Kombat was a great adaptation. What was the other ones? The video game adaptations that I really enjoyed. You know what I mean? Those were a couple of them. There might be some other ones that were great adaptations from video games. I can't think of the top of my head, but you know what I mean. You get the point. What I'm trying to say. Very great adaptations. You know what I mean? When they were trying to do the original Mortal Kombat, I think it was like the late '90s or something, and Tomb Raider with the original Tomb Raider movie in the late like 2000s or something, and when they would try to do those adaptations at that time, they were not very popular as it is now. You know, they made I think it was like the 1980s. They made a Super Mario Bros. Movie, which wasn't good, it wasn't really good. You know what I mean? And they're making it now in the modern era time right now that works very well. The video game adaptations are a very popular thing right now that works so well. There's a lot of video games are getting made into movies or shows because they work so well, you know what I mean? I think PlayStation and I think it's on Netflix. No, it was going to be on Netflix, but I think it's coming to theaters. They're making Horizon Zero Dawn into a movie. And I believe originally it was supposed to be a show on Netflix, but now they're very confident in it that they're going to release it as a movie. I don't know if it has a release date or not, but they announced it as a movie. And I think Horizon Zero Dawn is going to work very well as a movie. I think it would have worked very well as a show as well, but as well as a movie because it's an open world and it works right there. So I think that one's going to do well. I thought Gran Turismo worked very, very well. I think they have some other ones that they're in development for PlayStation. But they worked so well. I haven't watched the Halo series on Paramount Plus. I believe it got canceled. But I think someone else bought it. I think Netflix bought it or something like that. Now they're doing a season 3. But I really enjoyed the Fallout. I never, like with Fallout, I wasn't a fan of the Fallout games, but I really enjoyed the first one. And I believe season 2 comes out this year. And I'm going to review it once I see season 2 it's on Amazon. But overall, I thought the season 2 of The Last of Us is a very fun show, entertaining show, very faithful to the video game, and the cast well casted. I thought they did a great job casting Pedro Pascal's Joel and Ellie, Bella Ramsey. You know, when I really wanted Hugh Jackman as Joel, and who plays X-23. Daphne Keane, you know what I mean? When Daphne Keane was very young, and Logan, and Hugh Jackman as Logan Wolverine with the beard and all that, I was like, you know what? I think that Hugh Jackman and Daphne Keane could be a perfect actor to play with his beard like that and Daphne Keane like that. Would have done a very great job as Joel and Ellie in an adaptation. But I think that would have been my dream casting for Joel and Ellie. Maybe if they did it at that time. But I'm very happy with the casting of Pedro Pascal. Very popular actor. You know, he's playing Mr. Fantastic in the MCU in the Fantastic Four. He's the Mandalorian. And Bella Ramsey, perfect casting for Ellie. I think I'm very happy that they went with that. I would have been happy if they went with Hugh Jackman and Daphne Keane, but I'm very happy that they went with Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. Perfect casting. I think everybody was perfectly cast, and a very fun, entertaining, faithful show to the video game. And I think if you love the video game, you're gonna love this show. I love this show. This is a very great show. Didn't think what I could expect from a show from this, but I loved the first season. I did review the first season. Make sure you go watch that video if you guys want to see my review for the first season. But I really enjoyed this second season of The Last of Us. And I can't wait for season 3. I love this show. And very loved. I really enjoyed this season. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe if you guys like. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about season 2 of The Last of Us. If you guys have seen it, what's your thoughts and opinion on season 2 and season 1 on the whole series overall. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.